God is doing for the show and what God is doing for you because He is absolutely amazing. When I tell you He's doing some great things, He's doing some great things. And I want to speak into someone's life right now to let you know that God is doing some great things for you. Whatever you've been praying for, whatever you've been asking for, whatever your heart desire, God is going to do it for you. All He needs you to do is trust Him. Trust Him. Trust the process. It's not easy. I know it's not, but God has something in store for you. Listen, for the last couple of weeks, we've been having some amazing guests on the show. We've been talking about domestic violence, whether it's physical or mental, and we've had some amazing guests. I'm so grateful for Wayne Booker, Gina Law, Dr. Tanya Scott, Pastor Christina Mao, Patrick Newberry, Dennis Lead. I mean, all of these people been coming to the show. Latanya Allen, Demetria Good. We've had some fabulous testimonies to come to the show just to talk about the domestic violence. And I'm so grateful because I know it's a hard subject, but I'm so grateful that they came on the show to share their story because we want it to help someone. We are here for you, and we just want you to know that we love you and whatever we can do on the show to get the information out there to promote you, that's what we are here for. So if you're watching today, go ahead and put in the chat where you're watching from, what you're doing, all that good stuff, or your city that you're watching from, because we want to hear from you. And I wanted to let you know too, we also still have some t-shirts and hoodies available if you want to pick those up. So make sure you go to the website takilola.com. Again, that's www.takilola.com and get your t-shirt, get your hoodie, or you purchase it for someone. And what it is say on the t-shirt is the Coco McMillan Show. So we appreciate your support. Also, if you want to have your commercials, played on the show, or if you want to donate to the show, make sure you to reach out to myself or the producer, Mark Lee. We'll be more than happy to get your information on the show. So make sure you reach out to us. We're here for you, and we just want to be a blessing to you and to all our viewers. So I really appreciate you taking the time to watch the show. I see Gene Johnson watching. I think that's New Jersey in the house. New Jersey in the house. So we appreciate your time, your effort coming to the show and just being a part of the show. So as I said earlier, we have a great show that's lined up for you tonight. When I like to thank Miss Demetria Good for introducing me to this young man. He has an amazing story. So if you're sitting down or if you're standing up, sit down. If whatever you're doing, if you're cooking, take a 5-minute break, get you some coffee or whatever, some tea or whatever, and sit here in front of your camera, your computer or your TV, because when I tell you his story is amazing, it's gonna bless your soul. And I said on the flyer, life during and after prison. So it's here to bless someone, and I'm so grateful that he's coming to the show to talk about his story, because listen, it's not easy when you tell people what you've been through and what has happened, because a lot of people try to be judgmental, but I'm here to tell you tonight, don't judge no one. Don't judge anyone, because you never know the situation. And what I love about this young man, hi, Rosalind, good to see you, is that he's open. I told him to keep it 100, and he's going to give it to you real. Okay, so get ready. Listen, text someone, call them, let them know that you are about to spend the next hour with Miss Coco McMillan, and it's going to be an awesome. You have to hear his testimony. When I say amazing, it's amazing. And listen, the other one thing I want to tell you is we have some other artists and guests that's coming to the show in the next couple of weeks. So I need you to tune in. Make sure that you tune in. Make sure that you follow me. If you're watching right now, go ahead and like, share it. just share the broadcast. Even if you don't want to, go ahead and just share the broadcast. Comment if you like, because all that makes a difference. All of it makes a difference. So I'm excited that you're here. Thank you so much for watching. But as I said earlier, this young man, his name is Thomas Sykes, and I'm not going to say too much about him because I want him to tell the story. But he is from the DC area. He was born and raised there in the DC area. He also have 2 movies that's out right now on Amazon as well as Tubi. So if you have Amazon, Tubi, you can watch 2 of his movies. The name of the movie is called Boss 1 and Boss 2. So make sure you check him out in the movies. But listen, we're going to take just a quick commercial break. And when we come right back, I want you to help me welcome my guest tonight, Mr. Thomas Sykes. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for money-saving strategies for your business and personal finances? Are you tired of working hard every day with little or nothing to show for it? Contact Prosperity Financial Services, LLC right now for your free financial consultation. Call now to reserve yours today, 804-349-8600, 804-349-8600.
Ladies, there's a brand new male species in town, and it's called the Bella fella. Bella is essential. Wherever you go, whatever you do, wherever you are, just ask NFL Super Bowl legend Willie Parker. The Bella fella cannot go anywhere without his Bella Couture essential oils, designed for the man of the night. Bella, it's not just a product, it's a lifestyle. Bella Couture by Jenna Law.
How you holding up? Nothing wrong with getting help.
If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence?
Now you need my help.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back. You are here listening to Coco McMillan live on the Coco McMillan Show. And my special guest tonight, all the way from Washington, D.C., a man with a story. Our topic tonight is during prison and what you're doing out of prison. So please help me welcome Mr. Thomas Sykes.
How you doing?
Hi, Thomas. If you can, I can see just a little bit. Just adjust it, just a little. There we go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deasia. Thank you, Deasia, for watching. We're praying for you, my sister. I love you, Thomas. Thank you for coming on the show. So you heard me earlier, just kind of talking about your 2 movies that's out and all that thing, but we're just going to kind of jump right into your story, your journey, about spending some time in prison and how that went. But I first want to ask you, did you grew up in the DC area, correct?
Yes.
And so what were you doing? What was your main thing? How was it growing up in the DC area? What were mainly you doing there?
In the DC area, I was born and raised in Northwest DC. So I attended elementary school at Scott Montgomery, senior high school in Shaw, and I also went to Dunbar Senior High School.
Okay. If you could speak up just a little, you could. Yeah. The camera's fine. If you could just speak up just a little. So I want to make sure the viewers hear you there.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, say it again. Say
Can
it
you
one
hear
more.
me?
There we go. Yes. Yes. So tell us, we talked about you going to prison for a minute. Tell us how that happened. What happened for you to go to prison? What was going on?
Okay, well, initially I was selling drugs at the age of like 13, like 13, 14 years old, junior high school. Well, July 1988, a young lady came where we were selling drugs at. She happened to be pregnant, so I told a couple of gentlemen, don't serve her no drugs because she's pregnant.
Hmm.
So she in turn got another young lady that was on drugs to stab me or what have you. So I went to the hospital, comes out, so I'm out, we sitting outside on the car. And coincidentally, a lady comes out and said we sit on her car. So I'm like, we go. She said, well, I wasn't sitting on her car, so we had words. Then the lady that was pregnant that just got me stabbed comes outside and said, I know he was sitting on the car. I know he had something to say. So the lady said he didn't have nothing to say. He wasn't sitting on my car.
Hmm.
So I told her I wasn't sitting on the car. She said, well, she want to go get her brother. She go gets her brother. Her brother come back out, and now he's like in front of me. But have you? I got stitches in my stomach, and my side is open from the stab wound that I just received from this same young lady.
How many times did she stab you?
No, she stabbed me once, but when I went to the hospital, they cut my stomach to see was any internal
In
bleeding.
internal. Okay. Okay.
Then I got two wounds out of one.
Wow.
So then he said he proceeds to press the situation. Everybody tell him I wasn't sitting on the car. I ain't said nothing. So I guess he realized that it's more of us than him. Actually, it's my whole little neighborhood at the time. So he said he'd be right back. He go get some gentlemen. He come back with the gentleman, tell us come in the back of the building, which is Gibson Plaza on 7th Street Northwest. As we go into the back of the building, well, when he left, I told one of my buddies to bring a gun around the corner. So
Okay.
so as they going out the back, my buddy's walking past him in the exit to go out the back of the Gibson. So we get out the back of Gibson. One of my buddies was like 21, and I guess his older buddy was 20. At the time, I was 16.
16.
Yes,
So this was 16 years old when this happened, when you would have this encounter with the lady and she stabbed you because you wouldn't sell her drugs because she was pregnant.
right. This
Okay.
was 1988. I was born 1972.
Okay.
So uh, the two older gentlemen begin to talk, and as they talking, the gentleman, her brother, is itching close to me. Mind you, I have the gun in my hand. He has two bats. So he raised the bat to hit me. I, in turn, shoots him.
Wow. Wow. So what made you tell your buddy to go to get the gun?
Actually, I wasn't in no position to be fighting nobody. I had stitches in my stomach and my side was open. So I wasn't in a position to be fighting and tussling with nobody. I was like, I want to say hour a day. I want to say like a day, a good 24 hours out the hospital.
Okay. 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 So you went back to that neighborhood and then that's when you told your buddy to go get the gun. He was trying to come at you and you shot him.
Yes, ma'am.
So after that happened, what did you do? Did you run? Did they catch you? I mean, how did
No,
it?
I actually, after I shot him, I walked away, went in the house, changed my clothes. So I changed my clothes and I come back outside. And now I'm up at on 7th Street in front of Gibson. This happened in the back of it. So mind you, all the police in the back trying to figure out what's going on. I'm in the front of the building, but I'm across the street on another Immaculate Conception front, the high rise. It's two
Okay.
high 7th Street. So as this going on, I can see everything now because that's why I didn't stay in the house because I couldn't see nothing.
Okay.
So now I can see everything. So I see my mother come home and I see a police gentleman that lived in our court. He's talking to my mother, but he's at the time my mother was like 4'11", so he's towering over her, and he looked like he was a little aggressive. So I in turn walked down the street, And my mother like, here go my son right here if he did something. So the gentleman asked me, are you a witness or defendant? I said, to what? I said, to what? And
Right.
he turned to the older gentleman that they had handcuffs on the corner that was with me. That when they got the gun, he turned to him and asked him whatever. I guess he said, "Is that him or
Is that
whatever?"
him? Mm-hmm.
They turned around and said, "Handcuff him."
Mm. Wow. So okay, so they got him too, and so he must have told them that it was you. So you end up going. Did you say it was self-defense, or how did it?
Well, actually, DC don't have no self-defense law, so that wasn't even in a situation. And then, by me being 16, they Title 16 me, charged me as an adult. So now I'm in adult court.
Wow, they charged you as an adult. And so
Yes.
did the young man live or did he die?
Well, at the time of my sentence, he was living, but he was not. He was like in a vegetable, I want to say.
Mm.
But after I was sentenced, I believe he passed away after I was sentenced.
Oh man.
So instead of me getting murder, or they gave me mayhem, I was I was sentenced to mayhem and carrying a pistol without a license.
What's mayhem? What?
Like if you disfigure someone, like say you could, for example, you could be driving a car, hit somebody, break their leg, and if you was in the fault, they can charge you with mayhem for just hitting them with the car, breaking their leg because you disfigured them.
Okay. Wow. So they sentenced you. How long did they sentence you for?
Well, actually, I got in trouble again while um, I was out on personal reconnaissance, and I got in trouble again, so I caught a drug charge. So I ended up getting altogether. I got 3 to 9 for the mayhem, 1 year for the gun, and 40 months to 10 years for the drug charge that I caught. So I ended up doing like 7 years. It froze up a little bit.
Coco seems like she's froze up, so I'm gonna jump in just for a second and everything. So I know that you were talking about what you went through and all in that space. How do you think we're doing in the sense of letting and reaching out to our young people to let them know about what's going on? Because I know a lot of times people will say that it's the whole notion of wanting to be accepted is the reason that a lot of our kids are getting involved in gangs and things of that nature. I know that my younger brother has worked in that space, but I'd love to know your thoughts, and hopefully Coco will join us back again and all in that space. But I do know that there are a lot of folks that I'm here in Durham, North Carolina, that have got involved in that life, and sometimes they are saying that part of the reason of getting involved is they're not getting enough at home or in their school environments. But I'd love to know your thoughts around that.
That's true, but in my case, I can actually say that I had no business selling no drugs. I had no business being outside doing none of those things because I had a great home.
Mm-hmm.
Even though my home was single family, I had a great home. My mother had food on the table. I had clothes on my back. I really was a spoiled brat. I had everything I needed, or wanted. So it wasn't no sense in me doing that. So there's no excuse that I can actually make to say that I did this or I did that because of my mother wasn't doing this or my father ain't do this. It wasn't none of that. I chose to do that because that's the decision I made.
Yeah, that makes
And
a
with
lot
the,
of sense.
and with the youth, the youth now, it's like with this social media, a lot of things getting glorified that's not right. See, we didn't have social media back then, so they have social media. So they say, for instance, somebody's son get locked up, it goes right on social media.
Right.
Or like they have all these different webs where they saying, well, they putting up the kid face. He come home, his buddies, yeah, man, you got locked up. They glorifying it instead of someone really sitting them down, telling them the consequences that they're facing and letting them know that the consequences are real. It's not just a game.
Right. I know one of the things I've been hearing about, I don't know what your thoughts about this are, is that we do have a lot of youth that are involved in those unfortunate things, like whether it's gang violence or criminal violence and everything of that nature. But a lot of those skill sets they probably could be using to be entrepreneurs and be in that entrepreneurial space. And I was just wondering, are there some of those skill sets that you are now bringing into even like your movies and other stuff that you're hoping that other kids understand that, like you just said, that there are consequences to your action and consequences to what happens. So therefore, they can use some of those same skills, but bring them on the business aspect and actually create their own entrepreneurial type businesses.
Yes, like a lot of these kids, like now we have a situation in DC with a lot of carjacking.
Mm-hmm.
And if these kids just want to drive a car, they can be Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, and cab drivers. If you just want to drive around and enjoy riding cars, but you can be making money by taking people to their destinations.
Right.
So you can turn the good into bad, but right now we have to really just be honest with these kids. We can't keep sugarcoating it, trying to, smack them on the hand nicely. You have to really be strong with these kids because, like I said, in this day and time, it seems like the crimes they're committing and the things they're doing are very senseless, but they doing it at a high rate. And it's like, it's not just one. Every day you turn on the TV, somebody been carjacked or somebody was pushed out of a car or something of that nature. And that's not right.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I know we were having a conversation on the network earlier because one of the things that I've been frustrated about, I don't know how you've been thinking about it, is that a lot of times when we look at the penal system and the court system, it is oftentimes people that look like you and me that are in the minority community that are the ones that are prosecuted, whereas some of our other brethren of other cultures aren't as able to get the same kind of justice that we get and everything. So it does seem like the penal system is not always fair in that sense. I'd love to hear your thoughts around that because I can't believe that we are the only ones committed as much crime and that we make up as much of the penal system. They just might be getting away with it more and all in that space. But I'd love to hear your thoughts around that.
They actually not getting away with it more. They just get sentenced differently. Like, okay, like if you go to court and you got to pay a lawyer opposed to a court appointed, they're going to treat you different anyway. So the average black person don't have they have a court appointed lawyer. They don't have a paid lawyer.
Right.
And the other races might have the money or the finances to get a paid lawyer, or their family might be in a position to get them a paid lawyer, so they get a lenient more sentence. But all in all, it was a difference because when I was young, we were selling crack cocaine, and a lot of the younger other ethnic groups were dealing with powder. So I got my second time going back to jail, I got 10 years for 65 grams of crack cocaine. And here it is, another race might have got 8 months for 65 grams of powder cocaine. That was the difference in the sentencing. And when I say that, meaning a lot of at that time we were dealing with crack cocaine and they were dealing with powder. So that's what the difference was. And they set it up in the sentencing guidelines to fit that.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I see Coco's come back. So I'm going to turn the interview back over to her and everything. But I definitely, sometimes if things happen, she knows that I'll pop in and try to keep things rolling and all along those lines. So I did see we had that little bit of a time, and it was a pleasure having this conversation with you. But I'm going to turn it back over to the great and lovely Coco McMillan. As you can tell, she's a talented singer as well. But I'm going to turn it back over. But I've got that journalism background, so I don't mind popping in every once in a while if need be. But I'm getting ready to go back into my production role.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, thank you so much. The power just like went out. Let me tell you, the devil is upset because you know what? Anyway, the people to hear what is going on. So that's what happened. The power went out, but I had another source, and I'm back on here. So thank you so much, Mark, for taking that over. And I did like hear some of the conversation around what you guys were saying. And I know before I went out, we were just kind of talking about your sentencing, you know, what you got. I think you said close to 9 years. And then I had a question for you. So like when you went in, were you nervous? Were you scared about going into, that was your first time in going to prison?
Yeah, that was my first time ever locked up, juvenile, adult, anything. So when I did get sentenced and I did end up going over, I actually went my first few months. I was over to jail in like a City Under Siege block. If you remember that show, City Under Siege. So they had a high intensity block with juveniles. So I was housed with other juveniles that was Title 16. So my first thing was I was around my age, and then when I got sentenced, they sent me down Lawton. Now I'm 16 years old in the man prison.
Wow. And Lord, and oh my goodness. So once you went and you got in there, of course I know, like you said, that you were scared going in there, but once you got in, how was it in there? How did you adapt? I mean, knowing that you had close to 9 years, how did you adapt?
Well, you really don't adapt. You just get used to doing the same thing over and over and over. You knew you eat at 6 o'clock. You knew you had to count it for. You knew, the TVs go off at a certain time. You knew all these things. So once you start doing something over and over again, you look back like, oh, that's 5 years gone. That's 2 years gone. That's the only way. That's the only way I can see it.
To get through it. And did you have any problems in there? Did you?
Nah, in Lawton, I actually didn't. I actually didn't have no problems. I had a gentleman that was. It was kind of funny. I was like 5'7", 140 pounds or 20 pounds. I was a little guy when I went in there, and it was a little gentleman that was my size in there. He told me, "I'm gonna take your shoes." I'm like, "Okay, okay." But he was an older guy. He was older. He was probably old enough to be my father at the time. So that's the only encounter I had. But we end up in the basketball game. We end up getting into a fight, me and him. So once me and him got in the fight, the whole gym started fighting, and then that was it.
That was it. And did you get more time? Did you get in trouble for that?
No, actually, it was kind of funny because that's when they started shipping people out to other states. So what happened was they sent me in the hole. When I come out the hole, I'm out the hole for like about 2 months. Next thing I know, my name on the list. They tell me pack my bags. I end up in Eagle Pass, Texas. I never heard of it until I got there. It was a privately prison that housed DC prisoners. So I end up in Eagle Pass, Texas for like, I want to say like 2 years. And then from there, I went from Eagle Pass, Texas. I went to Mason, Tennessee. It was CCA. And I stayed there for like 3 years, 4 years before I returned back to the city to come home. To get released.
To get released. I didn't know that they send you around to different places like that once.
Yeah, I think they was on the verge of shutting Norton down, or because that was when they first started the CCA's Correctional Corporation of America, and they started sending people to different ones in different states like Ohio and Texas and stuff. It was one in Mason, Tennessee. So I ended up going to Eagle Pass, Texas first. Like I said, I never heard of Eagle Pass, Texas till I got there. I had been to Houston, Texas when I was younger, father, but I never knew nothing about no Eagle Pass, and I never knew nothing about Mason. You know, you only hear Memphis, Tennessee, and stuff like that.
Right.
I get the Mason, Tennessee.
Wow. And so I'm sure that kind of took a toll on you because that point you couldn't see your family, because in Lawton you could see your family and friends, correct?
Yeah, and Lord, you see your family and friends like every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday and Sunday, and then there'll be some functions during the weekday where your family can bring a canned good or something and come to visit you. But to be honest, when I got to Texas, my mother came to Texas. When I got to Tennessee, my mother and my cousins and family members come to visit me, so I never fell short of a visit.
Okay.
It wasn't every weekend like Lawton, but I still was getting the love. Then I can get on the phone and call whomever and, talk on the phone. Opposed to now, if you go to the feds, you get on the phone for 15 minutes, you got to wait 45 minutes to get back on. But during those times, you could just stand on the phone and talk long as you want.
Wow.
It was some record-breaking phone bills, I believe, around here.
Yeah. So Lawton sounds like it was more, it wasn't as strict. You could still, now did they do did they do drugs? And I mean, did they do, how was Lorton, you know, the
Yeah,
atmosphere? Did they still?
Lawton was the street. Lawton was like a street. Like you wore your street clothes, and I mean, gentlemen did drugs, and you drink the hooch, liquor or whatever. But Lawton was the street. You didn't. I mean, you locked up because you got the fence around you. You got the security. I mean, the correction officers, but it wasn't locked up. Now I know the difference because now that I've been in the feds, I know the difference. When you get to the feds, it's a whole new ball game. You're locked up.
You locked up. Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
Wow. So, all right. So you served your 9 years, you know, from going from Lorton to Texas to Tennessee.
Hmm.
What happens when you get out?
Okay, I come home. I went in '88. I come home 95. So uh, first I come home. I'm just working a job or trying to do whatever. And remind you, before I went in, I never took a drink or nothing. So here it is. I'm back around my old friends again. So my first halfway house, I get to stay out. We about to go to a party, so I tell my buddies to give me a cranberry juice.
Right.
So they sitting up front, they giggling. They give me they open the cranberry juice a little bit. It's not a lot. I couldn't really tell. So when they hand it to me, I drink it, and I'm like, so we get in the club. They say, "Tom, you want to drink?" I'm like, "Y'all know I don't drink, man." So they like, "Nah, we just gave you some Tanqueray in your cranberry juice." So I was wondering why I was feeling hot and feeling a little antsy or something. So I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead, give me another one." I've been drinking. I was drinking ever since I was 23. So that's when I started drinking alcohol.
That's when you started drinking alcohol. Okay. And so what happens? What happens after that? You drinking? Did you go back to that same lifestyle?
Yes, I went back to selling narcotics again. And so I end up with a conspiracy to sell 150 grams or more in the O Street market on 7th and O Street Northwest. But I only sold the gentleman 65 grams of crack cocaine. They gave me 10 years.
Wow.
So
So
now
they
here
gave
I am. So now here I am back in the federal system. No Lawton, straight to the federal system. So I find myself in Cumberland, Maryland.
Mm. So let me ask you this, Thomas. So with the young man that you shot, once you went in, did you feel bad about it? Did you have any remorse or did you regret what you done?
Yes, I'm not a violent person. I wasn't raised to be violent. It was just something that happened that I didn't really think about the situation. I just
Yeah.
reacted to the situation because actually I probably could have moved to the side or moved out of the way or made a better decision opposed to shooting a gentleman. So when I see that my family hurt and I hurt my family as well as hurt somebody else's, it does feel bad.
Right. Right. And your mom,
Yeah,
how is your mom?
I'm the only child, so I defer by herself. I have I have three little brothers from my father, but from my mother, I'm the only child.
You're the only child. So let me ask you this, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting deep, in this. So I hope
No,
I'm not getting too
you
personal. But what made you want to sell drugs? I mean, were you trying to make money, or were you
I
needing
mean,
anything?
I didn't need nothing. My mother gave me everything. Like I said, I was a spoiled brat. It's nothing I never wanted or needed during the time when I was younger. I chose to sell drugs just because I chose to sell drugs. I actually sold drugs before some of my friends, so it wasn't no peer pressure situation. And it was like, you want your own money, kid, I want my own money. Of course, my mother leave me $20. Back then, that was a lot of money, but she leave me $20 on the kitchen
Yeah.
when she get to her security job, or I might come home, get a note. My mother tell me go downtown, give me a pair of shoes or something. So it wasn't no situation where I needed anything. I ain't had no holes. My clothes was clean. My food was on the table. It wasn't no situation that I could actually put my finger on and say I sold drugs because I didn't have this. It ain't had nothing to do with my father, wasn't it? It ain't had nothing to do with none of that. I chose to make that decision, and that was it.
Wow. Wow. So you end up going back to the same lifestyle. You end up getting a conspiracy a charge, and then you go back to prison for how many years at that point?
I actually got locked up June 1998, and I came home May 2007.
Wow.
And I've been home ever
So
since. I'm going on 16 years.
16 years. Okay, so after the last episode, you served your time, you got out. Was this the point where you said, I'm not going back?
Actually, okay, like November of 2006, my mother passed away, and I was trying
Oh
to go to
no.
I was trying to go to the funeral, so the warden was like, "Nah, I couldn't go to the funeral." So by the warden telling me I couldn't go to the funeral, I made up my mind that I would never be in that position again.
There we go. Because I know that was tough where you couldn't, and especially being the only child.
Right.
I know that was tough on you that you couldn't, go to your mom's funeral. So that's when you made up in your mind, like, I'm not coming back. I'm not doing that lifestyle anymore. That's it.
Right. And I'm just like, I'm not doing that lifestyle no more. So I actually just came home and just try to keep a job. But actually, and now that I'm in the government, I work for DPW, Department of Public Works, and
Good.
it like I said, the 16 years helped me get myself together because I was beating myself up for a little while for not being out to the funeral. But then I understood that things happen. I gotta live with it and just move on.
Yeah. Do you have any kids, Thomas?
Yes, I have 6 kids. And remind you, my second time going in, I left 4 of my older kids out here. I went back in. I had kids like back to back. I mean, my mom was happy because obviously I'm the only child, so I'm making the family. But I had 4 kids back to back. So now they in their 20s. And then I had 2 younger kids, 13 and 8 right now.
Wow. So what did they say? How did they feel? I mean, how was the relationship?
Well, actually, my daughter, which is my oldest, it's like I left her out here. And then my other kids, they was okay because they all was young. But when I came home, I still didn't get on the right track off the break, like doing everything I was supposed to do as a dad when I first came home. So it was a little bitterness there. Sometime here and there. Right now, I still go through a little something with one of my sons, but
Yeah.
it's not nothing that I can't handle, and it's not nothing that ain't just life. It's life. Like if somebody gonna be bitter, everybody ain't gonna just forgive you. So it's always gonna be a work in progress. But it ain't no
Right.
going out fighting, and it ain't nothing like that. It's just a little words here, a little. But I do try to do the right thing with my other 2 little kids, and I definitely try to do the right thing by my little son Tavion because I got 4 sons, so I messed up with 3 of them. So I'm thinking, nah, I got a chance to make it right with at least one. But
Yeah.
but I'm good with all my kids, to be honest with you.
That's good. That's good. Thank God, because I know that could be, tough trying to build a relationship when you were gone for so long, and then trying to lead them in the right direction as well. So I'm so glad about that. Now I don't know how many days it is, but I know when you said that you started drinking because I think at 23, because you never really drank before, and you was drinking through all these years. But can you tell me you stopped drinking, correct?
Yes.
So how long has it been now?
179 days.
179 days. Yes. To God be the glory. That's what I'm saying. God can do. He's amazing of some of the things that he can do, and I'm so glad of that. And how do you feel? I mean, how do you feel now that you're not?
No, I feel good. I actually have more fun now when I go out. I have more fun now that I don't drink. I remember what happened. I remember the club I went to. I remember the parties, the people I seen and posted when I was drinking. I probably don't remember none of the events that happened. I just know I wake up, I'm home, or I'm somewhere that I ain't, might be on somebody's couch or something of that nature. But I don't know. The power might have went out again. I'm not sure what happened, you guys, but hope you got Boss and Boss 2 on Amazon and Tubi. Directed and written by Mr. Rich Craig. Also starred LaSonia Odin and a couple other great people from DC. I don't know how to work this to see the questions or something.
I was like, Mark. I was like, Mark. There we go. There we go, Thomas. I'm sorry about the internet connection and stuff that's going on here. But can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Thomas? Oh, he's reading I think he's reading the comments.
Yeah, there's a little bit of technical problems. Those things happen, but we still rocking and rolling and everything. Can you hear me, Thomas? And can you hear
me,
Coco?
Mark? Can you hear me, Mark?
I do hear you, Coco.
Okay. Now we can't hear Thomas. I don't know. Yeah, it's a great some technical things are going on. Can you hear us, Thomas?
No, he might have
Thank
to go
you,
out again.
Gene Johnson. Amazing story. Yes, the second and third chance. Thomas, can you hear us? He said he can't hear. So, Mark, do you think he needs to go out and come back in?
Go out and come back in.
Yeah, go out, Thomas. If you can hear, go out and come back in. Okay, Mark. So, wasn't it amazing about his story about how I didn't know, like when he was 16, they were saying that they charged him as an adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've heard that sometimes, and that's actually an issue that comes up in the world sometimes, is that folks are charged as adults quicker than they are actually adults and everything. Because I know different states have different laws. I think in some states it can be as young as even 15 or 14 that they get charged as adults. And of course, in different parts of the world, they sometimes are prosecuted even much younger than that and everything. So I know that we're a global network, and there are parts of the world that is even crazier than that in the sense of the ages that folks are charged and all along those lines. So it's just truly amazing how that works out. And I don't know if you know this, but my younger brother has actually worked with at-risk youth for a number of years and all in that space. So he's been in that for a number of years. So I've actually learned about it through him and through some other people that I know, because just like you were talking about what Thomas was doing, there are folks here like Desrick Dixon, Otis Lyons, and a number of others that are in, even Mike Anderson, that were gang members at one point or another, involved in criminal life in one point or another, but they did get involved in trying to better their lives and actually improve and talk to those youth so those youth can get help and all in that space. So it's just amazing to see that happen. And we've had some examples of that even here in the Carolinas, those three gentlemen that I mentioned. I think there were some women in that space as well. So you're just doing some amazing job of letting people hear these stories and all along those lines. I do see that Thomas is trying to come back in, so we're going to see if the audio is working and all in that space. So Thomas, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you there.
Yay! Yeah, we're back. We're back.
We still got a few more minutes. I will drop off, let y'all have the conversation and everything.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, we got about 10 minutes. I'm telling you, that's why I know that this is going to bless someone, because the devil is just trying. He's just trying. Hi, Miss Bass. How you doing? Thank you so much for watching. But Thomas, so I know you said 179 days that you've been sober, that, things are going well. What is something that you would say to the young kids now, that may be going in the wrong direction, and just knowing, you've been there, you've done that, you don't want to go back. What would be some of the advice that you would give some of the young kids today?
Well, I always tell the young kids that the situation about losing my mom while I was in and not being able to go to the funeral, because I try to get them on the outlook of them losing their parent and not being able to go to the funeral. Because a lot of these kids, they love their parents, but they just choose to make these decisions on their own
Yeah.
when no one's not around. It's not, they don't have no one in their ear to tell them the right thing to do, even if it's their peers. Like they friends cheering them on to do the wrong thing, and some of the friends that's cheering them on to do the wrong thing, they not doing the wrong thing.
Right.
I see that on the subway. Like I get on the subway, I see how another kid egg another kid on the curse and do all this, but they not doing it because somebody they know the consequences. Because
That's
you
right.
don't know who watching you on no train, and they call your parent and say, "Oh, I seen your daughter, your son." He was. So some of them kids got common sense not to do stuff, but they making bad decisions when they're alone. Like I made a bad decision when I was 16, so I can't sit here and say it ain't going. I mean, that they doing something that an average person won't do, because I made some bad decisions in my 16
Yeah.
and as an adult. Even it don't matter. I made bad decisions myself.
Yes. Let me ask you this, Thomas. What made you stop drinking?
Well, I went to a football game. I always take my grandmother to the football game. So my cousin came. So I happened to be drunk at the football game. He was talking to me. He wasn't saying nothing out the way to me that I thought, but my grandmother didn't like it. So she was like, "You always getting drunk. You let people talk to you this and that." So I gave her my word I wouldn't drink no more. So I stopped.
Just like that?
Yeah. No,
No.
no canceling, no nothing, just no more drinking. And I still go to the club, still do the same thing I do. I just don't drink. I give me some water, pay my admission, get some water, and that's it. And I still have, and it actually saved money because them bottles, 40. I wasn't no cheap liquor drinker. Not. I don't have nothing against nobody that drink cheap liquor, but $40 and $50 add up after a while.
Yeah.
So now I see the difference because I don't do it. Then I go out to dinner. I see the difference of the bill from now ordering 2-3 drinks, with the dinner. I see the difference. So
You
it
see
works
it?
all the way around the board. And then I
Yeah.
wait for my body good. I wake up 4:30 every morning, go to work. I don't be all sluggish and tired and worn out. I feel good.
Good. I hope somebody's out there listening to that and hear that when he says that. First of all, it's the cost effective. He's saving money, not drinking in his body. He feels good. He's not sluggish or anything like that. And so, we just want to help and advise you, like, you know, don't turn to that. Don't turn to that. First of all, trust God. Keep God, first in your life, and like let Him direct your path. Because I know a lot of times when you're distracted, when things are going on in your life, when you're depressed, you're overwhelmed, you turn to different things, and it's just not good for you, your body. So I appreciate Thomas coming on telling us.
Miss Coco, I see. See the thing I think about is you do turn to it and you drink and you think that your problem gone. It's gone for that moment, but actually, when you finish and you get sober, your problem back again. So now you're gonna double the glass and
Right.
you can drink. So I was drinking for 27 years and I just stopped. And you got to be wanting to stop. And people that don't want to stop, I don't got nothing against them. I mean, I understand. But when somebody want to stop, trust me, if it's something
They'll
you
stop.
want to do, you'll do. I never been a follower, so nobody can make me do nothing I don't want to do.
Yes, JP, I see you out there. I love that. I love the way you said it. You was like, hey, if you don't want to stop, I understand. But once you make up in your mind that you're gonna stop something, you stop no matter what. And you said that day when your grandmother said you drink too much, that was it for you.
Yeah.
That was it for you. So tell us again. I know you. When I was off, you said about your movies that's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Tell us again about that.
I came home and this gentleman named Mitch Cradle chose me to be a co-star in one of in his movie that he wrote, Boss. And it was me and a young lady named LaSonia Odin was the two co-stars in the movie. And the first one went well. We was at the High Theater. The first time when we was premiered in the High Theater. And it's so funny because I grew up down the street, like some blocks down the street. And for me to see myself in the High Theater after all I've been through was good.
Yes.
And see, and that's another thing. I was drinking then, so that was blurry. But now I sit back and I can actually turn on the TV and I can go to it, or people when I'm working or walking around, they like, hey, I like your movie, or I seen the movie, so it feel good.
I know. And especially like you said, after all you've been through, you never thought, like, while you were in prison, that this was going to happen and it's coming out. You know what I'm saying? But God still made a way.
I'm not no actor, and I never been to acting school or nothing. So when part 1 went good, he actually wrote part 2, and that went well. And there's still people come to us today, as I spoke with him one day, and they asked for part 3, but it's kind of hard to make that one. But anything's possible.
That's right. Anything is possible. You never know, because let me tell you, the Lord works in mysterious ways. And like I said today, I truly believe that your testimony, your story truly helps someone out there, or helping someone in their family. If it's not them, someone in their family, because again, it takes a lot of guts to come and tell the story. And so I appreciate that. Any final words? I know that's almost our time there, but any final words that you want to say, Thomas, or anything?
Not really. Just everybody, just take your time and make, better decisions out here. It's getting rougher and rougher every day. Like every day you turn on the news, it's something else different. We fighting viruses, we fighting ourselves, and we fighting the police. There's a lot we got to deal with right now, so we need to make less better, like limited some of the stuff we got to deal with.
That's right. Do any of your buddies or your partners that you used to hang out with come to you now, try to get you to go out or try to do things that you don't want to do?
Nah, I go out. I can still hang around them. I just don't got to drink. We still cool. Like I said, I never lived my life on peer pressure, so nobody never pressured me to do something, because I'm not doing nothing I don't want to do.
Right.
So I know when I leave out this house to go to the club, I know I ain't drinking. So I don't care who drinking. Obama can be drinking. His story ain't my story. So I know I need not be drinking because I don't know my limit. He might know his limit. So I ain't got to drink because Obama drinking.
Right. I love that, man. That's deep right there. That's good. That's good food right there. Food for the soul. As one of the viewers said, she said, that's some good information, and she know that it's going to help somebody. That's all we have to do, Thomas. Sometimes it's just kind of share our story and tell what we've been through, so that next person don't have to go through it, because see, they may be in a situation where they are faced to do something, and then they think about what you said. Yo, that guy Thomas from TC, he's like, I don't have to do this. I don't want to do this. So they may think about what you said, something you said tonight, and that's what we want. That's what we want to see on the show, for it to bless someone else. So thank you. Thank you again, Thomas, for everything that you share with us. We're going to have to get you back on the show. Listen, you let us know when that Boss 3 come out, or whatever movie that you're about to, because I trust God. He can do anything. So you never know. It could be a movie about your story.
True. I was planning on where I started writing the book. I think I'm going to sit down and finish it.
And you should. And you should, because it's powerful.
Thank you.
So thank you again, Thomas. God bless you. Stay strong, my brother. Keep hope alive and keep doing what you're doing. Be that trailblazer for our young brothers out there, all right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wow, guys, you heard it live on the Coco McMillan show. And I'm just here to tell that enemy, you still didn't get no authority here because this is God's show. Whatever you try to do with the internet and all that stuff, to God still gets the glory. Amen. So we thank God for Mr. Thomas Sykes with his story, what he shared with us, and just, sharing with you guys out there just to keep God first in everything you do. The struggle is real. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not. The struggle is real, but we know a man named Jesus that can heal, set free, and deliver. So all you have to do is put your trust in him. And as I said earlier, trust the process. He will make a way for you. You got to believe that. So go ahead and tell yourself right now, as you're looking in the mirror, as you're sitting there, or whatever you're doing, just say, God's got my back. God's got your back. All right. So listen, we're going to be back next week. As I always say to you, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, lean not to thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Okay, he is amazing. We're going to leave you with this video tonight of one of my brothers in Durham, North Carolina, Hector Boyce, with his new single that's out, talking about that Bull City, all the Durham people in the house. Check out this video from Mr. Hector Boyce. See you next week.
Didn't stop us from connecting. When it's what we do, we stand strong like bull's horns. That's the way we're born. We're brave, we show love until the grave. If it decides to leave or vacate, just remember the termite bug never ever dies. No, no, no. We fly high, we fly high. I love my city. Sitting back relaxing. This one for my city, so you know that it's a classic. Downtown to Main Street, you might see a million places to eat. But honestly, my opinion, dang chicken and waffles can't be beat. They can't. Wall Town all the way to Holden, got recreation for the kids. Got 3 red velvet cakes from favorite desserts still in my fridge. We living life in Bull City, don't compare us to the rest. I gotta say the 919 be putting it down the best. I love my city, I love my city. I love my city, oh yeah. I love my city, oh. We put in work, we work. I love my city, I love my city. I love my city, yes I do. I love my city, and we work. We put in work, yeah we work. love. My dear.